I've been through days I pray to never go back to. Make the brokenness look at part two. I go back for life.
Welcome to Giving Voices, the podcast where we amplify the voices of young people and tackle the issues of our time. I'm your host Bruno, and today we'll be getting to know one of our members, Alex. So Alex, how you doing, man?
Not too bad. How about you?
Okay, I'm doing great. So, let's jump into the first question. How long have you been living in Dudley for?
I've lived in Dudley my whole life since birth.
Okay. So you was born here then?
Yes.
What country are your parents from?
Well, my parents were actually born in the UK, but my grandparents, both sides, are from Jamaica to the Windrush generation.
Okay. So, Alex, you told me that you're on the autism spectrum, right?
Yeah.
So, let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
What age were you diagnosed?
I was diagnosed at 3 years old, so that's when I was diagnosed.
Yeah. I know it's a little bit of an early age, but do you remember anything from around that time?
Probably not being able to talk or just wandering around, not saying anything, to be honest.
Okay. So, what would you say, what things made you different from the other kids at that age? Or any young particular age?
I think it's my mannerism and my sense of, I'd say, like sense of where I am.
Yeah.
Like my attention span, because it could have been, something that I could have struggled with all my life looking back, actually. It could have been something, I could have struggled with my whole life.
Do you think you stood out to adults? Do you think you stood out from other kids? Like, did any adults look at you differently from the other kids?
I don't actually know. Probably, and if that was the case, it would have actually been people who knew and understood special needs and autism, and they were able, to discern that was on the spectrum.
Yeah. One question I do have is, was it hard to make friends?
Oh, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. For almost anyone with special needs, it can be really hard to make friends because sometimes I'd be running away from people. I'd be shy and scared of people, and they'd be like, "We're not going to hurt you, we want to play." And some people, would be running away from me thinking that, "Oh, he's weird," because, people may not understand me, and sometimes I may not understand myself. And I'm almost 24 years old, or 24 in October, I still find it hard to understand myself.
Yeah. Would you say it's harder to deal with it now or when you was younger?
It depends. It comes in stages. It can be hard to deal with still throughout life stages, but in different ways.
Okay. To be honest, me personally, I don't know a lot about autism. So, explain to me a couple ways that it affects you.
Well, autism, it's seen as a disorder, and it's how the brain works. The brain works really differently.
Yeah. And
my brain works differently mainly because I have different abilities that may be higher than the average person with a brain. And it can be, can have its challenges and it can have its, rewards as well.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Yes, but I'm used to it. I don't really have a choice.
So when you say differences, what are some specific things you say?
I struggle to get my emotions out or get things on paper because I know what I want to say in my head, but I can never get it on paper. I know why I do things sometimes, but I don't know how to express it. And sometimes I do things and I just don't know why, and I don't know how to express it.
Okay. Would you say it affects your communication?
It can do because, for me, my social skills have not always been great.
Yeah.
Because, with communication, even saying hello, people would expect me to have deep a deeper voice saying, hey, how are you? But sometimes I do say hi with a high-pitched voice, you know. Like when I'm chatting with my friends, sometimes my voice can go high-pitched, and especially if I get, you know, like really angry or scared, or if I'm emotionally overwhelmed, or if I'm excited, you know.
Yeah. So you mentioned your social skills, right? So what type of social challenges did you have to overcome, and how did you overcome them?
I think it's understanding other people's emotions and trying to read them. Like reading people's emotions and trying to understand them, that has been a struggle for me because I'm used to understanding my own emotions and other jokes, and I can't understand, you know, like many jokes because my sense of humour is technically, I'd say it's a bit limited in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Other people find my jokes funny. Sometimes I find my own jokes funny.
Yeah.
You know, I have made some pretty amazing jokes. You know, I remember we had a media workshop last year in October, and we had to draw what we imagine on film. You know, and I remember the lady did a workshop with us, and I think you were there. TJ may have been there, and everyone else was there. And I remember saying something, you know, quite
I
funny.
think I remember it. Yeah.
I remember saying something like, "That's like a banana and a prune falling in love, and they both end up giving birth to a pair." Something like that.
So, did you struggle understanding other people when you were growing up?
It will always be.
Was it more like, because you said some people didn't understand your jokes, some people didn't understand you. Was it both ways? You didn't understand people as well?
Something like that. Yeah, but it will always be ongoing because you never know, because you'll meet new people. Some people you'll click and they'll understand you without taking advantage of you. And sometimes what I find it hard to understand is that people that may not necessarily want, they're the ones that are trying to look out for me and really want to protect me because they see me be vulnerable and they want to protect that, and they see something special in that. Whereas most people who see me, they just find a chance to take advantage of it, which is pretty diabolical, to be honest.
Yeah. So, your parents, how were they like? Because most parents, when they have kids that have something like autism, they can usually be very overprotective. So what was it like for you?
Well, my mum and dad, they're naturally protective because my maturity rate is not the average maturity rate like everyone else. Being mature for me, I'm a firm believer in maturing at my pace, doing it one step at a time, and not having to rush or feel overwhelmed. So if I mature in my own pace, do it in my own way, then that's when my maturity will come in, and I'll feel a lot better accomplishing it at a pace that I'm not only able to do, but I'm more comfortable at.
Yeah. So would you say, did it affect your learning in any way?
Well, it has affected my learning sometimes, depending what lesson, depending on what I was learning, it can have an effect. Mainly, you know, with things that I wasn't good at, and anything that I was good at, you know, learning-wise, I didn't really struggle with it, because I was able to pick it up very easily.
So what subjects were hard for you and which subjects were easy for you?
The easiest subjects were music, drama, which I didn't take for GCSE, and I wish I did, to be honest. But my mum and dad didn't let me. They let me take music though.
Yeah.
So when it comes to English, when it comes to writing poems, like I don't really write poems much. I used to be so good at writing poems. I think I still got it, but I just need to, you know, practice a little bit more.
Okay.
Because I remember.
So you're in uni now, right?
Yes.
All right. So what subject are you doing? Or what course? Yeah.
The degree I'm doing is popular music performance. It's an honours.
Yeah.
And so far, I've managed to pass all my years without having to retake the whole year. Because if I had to retake 1 year, I'd lose the honours.
Yeah.
But I was fortunate enough to pass year 2 and year 1,
And how are you finding it? Would you say, is it hard in class?
While in year 3, it's getting harder now.
Yeah. And how was it when it comes to your social life in uni? Was it easy to make new friends in uni?
It kind of was easy a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it kind of was easy, but then it got easier because the more outgoing I was, the more I met other musicians,
Yeah.
the more I learnt, about understanding, having focus,
Yeah.
being wary of boundaries, and the fact that there are people at uni that I know from college, and one person that I know from my childhood, he happens to be in the same class as me, so it has made it easier. So
Yeah. I feel like it's a lot easier when you have something in common with people. It's a lot easier to make friends when you have a lot in common. So obviously, growing up, going through primary, high school, college, then uni, did you have any support in terms of, could be people, communities, but was there anyone there to support you, to help you through your journey?
When it comes to my hardest subjects, definitely, and even with my easiest subjects, like the subjects I struggled with, maths, some parts of science, for example, physics, that was my worst ever subject.
Yeah.
It was the hardest subject, and what made at school for me, and what made matters was that's when the worst behaviour occurred in my class. Often the worst behaviour occurred in physics, because it got so bad one point when I was in, I think, year 11 or year 10.
Yeah.
I think it was around year 10 at the time. All those who wanted to learn and get on, my teacher actually had to put all those who wanted to learn in a corner and teach them, whilst the others decided to, mess around. And when some of those people who were messing around saw that we were trying to learn, all of a sudden they decided that they want to learn. But
And which group was you in?
the bottom set.
No, when I say what group was you in, because you said the teacher used to put the people who wanted to mess around in a corner and the people who actually wanted to learn on the other side. Which side was you in?
I was the one that wanted to learn, because it was already bad enough having to put up with people who were naughty.
Did you, because when you're in school, I feel like there's a lot of bullying. Bullying can go throughout, any age in life, but I feel like it's the most during school. Did you go through any of that?
Yes, I did. And to be honest, I'm not surprised that I went through bullying.
Yeah.
Because people back then were just so ignorant. It got to the point I was called disabled, and some people would just start me for no reason.
Yes.
Even one person I know at school, he was jealous of the fact that I was friends with his best mate, and I think he got really jealous at one point, and he had a very bad temper. And I remember it got to the point where I think he kept annoying me, and I remember I grabbed him by the neck and just pinned him down onto the floor of the playground, and the teacher was like, "You asked for it."
Yeah. How old was you at that point?
9, 10 years old.
So it was in primary?
Yeah, between 2009 and 2010.
Okay. Has there been any instances where, dealing with autism, when it actually helped you in a way?
For me, it was when, I've had to, exercise patience. And I remember one of the learning supports that I had for years, from when I was at the Briar School, and she was with me sometimes all the way until secondary school. When I was in primary school, I remember I was in the queue waiting for my work to be marked. Got to the point where someone just pushed in front of me, and I remember I looked at her and I just smiled. Yeah, and then it got to the point she was like, I think she said, "You should be praised for that, because what you did was remarkable."
Yeah.
being patient when someone actually just pushed in the line and not gone to the back of the queue.
Yeah, I feel like going through all of that really helps you to develop things like your patience. So what are some misconceptions and stereotypes about autism that you've come across so far?
People think it's a disease. Some people think it's a disease.
Yeah.
And to me, it's a gift that needs cultivating. It's not easy, but sometimes I've learned, maybe with autistic, I have to put the work in, to just not only receive the help that I'm getting, but use that help to better me as a person.
Yeah.
And some people think you can just magically outgrow it, but I had to accept that. And I've had to learn that God made no mistake with special needs, and that's what I think I've had to, surrender to. And I used to cry about it a lot, but at the end of the day, it's part of what has made me the Alex that we know today. And I'm not saying I'm a saint or perfect, that I don't do wrong. I still get things wrong, but I'm still learning. Even if I was older and we looked back on this podcast like 20 years, I'd still be learning.
Yeah. So, later in life, what are your plans? What do you want to be doing when you're a lot older?
I definitely want to be a musician. I've always dreamt of being a musician and a singer. I've even imagined myself being on a record label, drumming or singing, creating music that reflects me as a person, music that I love. Because some of the music genres that I love to sing are R&B, gospel, soul, neo-soul, hip-hop, funk, sometimes, jazz, reggae, a bit of folk pop, just genres like that. Sometimes rock, and calypso.
So that's one of your hobbies then, music. I'm guessing you sing, right?
Yes, I do sing.
And what instrument? You play instruments as well?
Yes, I do.
So what instruments do you play?
I'm a drummer.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
Okay. And at what age did you start getting into music?
I started getting into drums, music, all those things when I was 2.
2?
Yeah, because I wouldn't play the drums straight away. My mum bought me the drum set.
Yeah.
Even though I wouldn't play the drums straight away, sometimes I'd be banging, the television, the counters, pots and pans. And when I did start using the drum set, I kept taking the cymbal off, deassembling the drum set, breaking it. Yeah. My mum bought me another one, did the same thing. And it's kind of similar to, my cousin who's a drummer as well. So yes, and ironically, he happens to be one of my influences as a drummer, along with the very first church drummer that I saw. And then in 2011, around November time, I started playing drums in church. Officially, I think I would have not long turned 12 that year, in October.
So, I feel like when dealing with something like this, you go through a lot of hardship. Would you say that music, playing the drums and singing, did it help you kind of like release that emotional build-up?
Yes, because I'm bilingual.
Okay, so what other language do you speak?
Music.
Oh. I was confused for a second, I won't lie to you.
Yeah. Music is my second language. Yeah. That doesn't require your mouth unless you sing.
Yeah. So you mentioned church, right?
Mm.
Did that also help you? Was it, would you say it was a welcoming community? And what age did you start going to church as well? That's another question.
From the moment I was born, I started going to church. Yeah. Like 2 months after I was born, I had my christening, around Christmas time. Me and my sister were christened the same day. My sister would have been 1 at the time. I would have been like 2 months.
Okay.
2 months old.